Lesson 6: Labor and Wages.
How does supply and demand in the labor market affect wages?
The relationship between wages and demand is inversely proportional. The higher the wage means that the quantity of labor demanded is less. The lower the price of labor will mean that the demand for labor increases. The relationship between wages and supply of workers, on the other hand, is linear. When the hourly wages increase, the number of supplied workers increase. Equilibrium wage is when the supply for labor equals the demand for labor.
This graph represents equilibrium wage, which is the price set for labor services when the supply of labor is equal to the demand of labor in a labor market. The downward sloping line represents the demand curve, and the upward sloping line represents the supply curve. Where these two curves cross is the equilibrium point. This point also represents the equilibrium wage, which in this case is $12. How does skill level in education affect wages?
In general, a higher skill level in education results in higher wages. Unskilled labor, such as dishwashers, require no specialized training and usually have the lowest wages. Semi-skilled labor requires a minimal amount of specialized skills and normally make more than unskilled labor. Skilled labor, which requires training for tasks like operating complex machines, has greater wages than semi- and unskilled labor. Professional labor, which demands advanced skills and education, have the highest salary. The reason for this is because the supply of unskilled workers is relatively high compared to the demand for them, whereas professions with highly educated workers that require more training and experience have a relatively high demand compared to the supply. Therefore, professional labor has a higher equilibrium wage.
This graph represents the relationship between education and earnings. For example, the more education a person gets, the higher their earnings. How do laws against wage discrimination affect wage levels?
Laws against wage discrimination requires male and female employees in the same workplace performing the same job to receive the same pay. Anti-discrimination laws prevent companies from paying lower wages to some employees based on factors that are not related to skill or productivity. An example of an anti-discrimination law is the Equal Pay Act, which is properly enforced by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Essentially, this law makes it illegal for an employer of any sort to discriminate based on job applicants because of race, color, religion, sex. With this in mind, employers are obligated to treat employees impartially. This means several reasons in terms of determining someone's pay. For example, higher pay would be justified based off of a few factors. The first of many would be based on a seniority system, or length of time an employee has been working in the same business. The second would be based on exceptional job performance. The third would be based on the amount of work that is performed. Obviously, the quality of work will be a factor of consideration. The final one is the possibility of enduring an unideal situation. For instance, if a company needed workers for an unpopular shift, accepting to work in that time period would increase wages by small margin. All acts enforced by the EEOC prohibits pay discrimination. Workers are thus in a situation where they could maintain their interests within a field without worrying about any form of discrimination.
Explain the disparity in earnings among non-white groups and women workers. There are certain prejudices against minorities and women within society and the economy. Because of this, minorities and women generally are paid less than white males. The reason that there is such a disparity among earnings between males, non-white groups, and females is because of multiple reasons. First, women are discouraged from working high-skilled jobs with higher wages, such as corporate management, are encouraged to pursue women's work, such as nursing or teaching. As there are many women who want to find work in these occupations, the labor quantity grows, and as a result, the equilibrium wage is lowered. Second, women have been discouraged from gaining human capital, such as education and training, in favor of taking care of the family. Since women do not have the necessary skills to have a high-end occupation, they earn less. The same goes for non-white groups. Minorities in the past have not gotten as good as an education as white males, leading to a lack of human capital, making it harder for them to find a high-skill, well-paying job. Finally, some employers feel that women do not find interest in career advancement and will keep them from advancing up the corporate ladder, creating a glass ceiling. For minorities, roots of racial prejudice from the past as well as racial profiling may result in lower wages than white males.